Peace be upon you, and follow the channel, do you know? In London alone, 70 children are kidnapped daily, which is the highest average in Europe, with most capitals being safer. And the phenomenon of child abduction is a very old phenomenon. It predates time, and it is always for the purpose of exploitation or for the purpose of participating in the channel. Kidnapping is a failure. Sometimes children are smarter than the criminals. Today, I present to you 10 stories of children who were able to escape from their kidnappers in an amazing way, starting with Elizabeth Shoaf. In September 2006, while returning from school, a policeman stopped her and lured her into one of the nearby forests. In fact, the person was not a policeman, but a wanted kidnapper named Vincent Filial, who imprisoned her in a hole 5 feet deep. After 10 days, Elizabeth managed to gain his trust and asked him for the phone to play. She seized the opportunity and sent a message to her mother informing her of her location and asked her to bring the police. After hours of searching, the police found the place of confinement and arrested the criminal. Faison was sentenced to 421 years in prison. 16-year-old Elizabeth returned to her father, Calista Cordova, in the winter of 2016. 9-year-old Calista was on her way home when an unknown car surprised her and kidnapped her. On the way, the kidnapper stopped for gas, giving the girl a chance to escape and run into a nearby store. Once inside, she screamed for help with all the strength she had to draw attention. The police apprehended the kidnappers and sentenced them to 30 years in prison. Janet Tamayo was kidnapped in the summer of 2003. Janet, who was 9 years old at the time, was at her home when she was abducted. Janet suffered from mental torment for days until she convinced her kidnapper that she needed her medication and that she would die within hours if she didn't take it. He had to let her go after she returned home, as she knew his location and characteristics. The court sentenced him to 120 years. Erica Pratt was kidnapped in 2002. Two friends believed they could make money by kidnapping a child and getting a ransom, so they kidnapped a neighbor's daughter, who was only 7 years old, and locked her in a basement. After hours of her confinement, Erica managed to break her bonds and escape through a basement window by breaking it, leading to the arrest and long-term imprisonment of the criminals. Benjamin Brokaw, born in 1994. He was fixing his bike near his home when he was abducted and forced into an unknown car. The kidnappers held him in a nearby house and demanded a ransom of $50,000 from his parents. Benjamin managed to escape when his guard was not paying attention. He managed to contact the police and gave them information about their identities and the car, which was enough to arrest them. In the 70s of the last century, Barbara and her younger brother were on their way home when one of the kidnappers abducted Barbara and put her in the car trunk, while her brother managed to escape. They didn't get to a safe place until they opened the car trunk to attack Barbara with their knives and run away. During her escape, she found a nearby police car that was on patrol looking for her. He is a 16-year-old Chinese boy who was on his way to school when he was kidnapped and held in one of the abandoned warehouses. Wu Jiwei was big in gangster movies. He decided to break his self-imposed shackles, and that's where he fled. And the police who arrested the criminals knew 8. Rebecca Sabaris in early 1994. Rebecca was on her way to school when she was kidnapped by one of the gangs, and during her captivity, Rebecca appeared in distress. The kidnapper had no choice but to let her go. Rebecca immediately informed the police and the kidnapper was arrested, who later turned out to be a wanted child killer, and the court sentenced him to death. 9-year-old Willie Myrick in the fourth quarter of 2013 during his return from school. The kidnapper stopped him and asked him to return to the car in exchange for money. Willie accepted that with naivety, and when he felt he was in danger, he began to sing loudly, and that for 3 full hours, until the kidnapper's patience ran out and he kicked him out of the car. Willie was able to find a police officer who helped him return home. In fact, it was a smart idea from Willie. Finally, Kevin Lantzman in the year 2011.
Kevin and his family were on vacation in the Philippines when they were ambushed by an armed group. The family was kidnapped in exchange for a ransom from the American government.
After several negotiations, the American government was able to free all family members, except for Kevin, who was the youngest, and the kidnappers believed he would be more important in the coming days. During his captivity, his guard fell asleep. Kevin seized the opportunity and ran away. Kevin kept running for hours until he found a police station affiliated with the Philippine government, which handed him over to the American embassy afterwards.